Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let Your Words Count, where we explore the meanings behind the words that shape our lives. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Today's word we're diving into is hypocrisy. And the definition we have for hypocrisy, it refers to the behavior of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own actions do not conform. It involves a disconnect or a gap between what one says or the values one proclaims to have and what one does. Okay? So again, hypocrisy refers to the behavior of claiming to have moral standards or beliefs to which one's own actions do not conform. It involves a disconnect or gap between what one says and what one does. Okay? What one says or the values that one proclaims to have and what one does. All right? So that's it for the definition. And now for the etymology and the history, I'll pass it over to Ethan.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So the etymology here is very close. So hypocrisy is when someone pretends to have moral beliefs that they don't actually practice. And that is very, very close, right? Mm-hmm. It comes from the Greek word hypocrisy, meaning acting. Hypocrisy often arises when there's a disconnect between what people say and what they do. So it's interesting, hypocrisy. And I thought I saw a little historical thought here. So the term hypocrisy originates from the Greek word hypocrisy, meaning acting or pretending. It was initially used in the context of theater to describe actors playing roles, but over time, it took on a more negative meaning, referring to insincerity in moral or ethical context. The term evolved through the centuries, often used by philosophers and religious leaders to point out the flaws in human behavior.
Interesting.
It's very interesting. Oh, yeah.
The flaws in human behavior. So right off the bat, I think we have to kind of address that there's two different sides to this. And I love that it kind of bases the history in theater, right? Acting or pretending. So you get on there and even, like just you put a mask on. You're presenting as one thing, but in reality, behind that mask, you're somebody totally different.
Yeah.
So I think right up front, we have to differentiate between someone that is intentionally deceptive or deceitful, because some people, and there's a lot of examples of this, some people very clearly want some people, whether it's a group of people or just an opposition or whatever, some people want others to live by and be governed by a different set of rules than what they want to apply for themselves. If you're in that category of person that thinks I should have more freedom, more capabilities, and I'm not talking about when you look at somebody that has harmed other people, your rights get taken away, period. I'm not debating that at all. But a person that claims to be upstanding but then has one set of rules or standards or values that they want to live by and then want somebody else to be governed by a completely different set of rules, right off the bat, that's the negative kind of hypocrisy that, to me, removes all credibility and validity to the words that a person speaks. It's like, and even as you were doing that, it kind of made me think, like, I immediately turned the volume down. I can't hear, I refuse to give any serious consideration to the words of somebody who wants other people to be governed by a different set of laws or rules than what they themselves are willing to submit to. Nothing else you say at that point, after that point, means anything to me personally. I wish everybody else would be the same way. Unfortunately, some are not. But if somebody can't live by the rules, they want somebody else to, then right off the bat, your words don't mean anything to me anymore from that point.
Yes, that's those major contradictions.
Absolutely.
Right? The major contradictions. And it's funny that you brought that up, because I was thinking about I think your approach to it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think your approach to it is more of a a broader scale of
Absolutely.
things, right? It's an
Absolutely.
absolute broader scale of
Yeah.
things.
We have to all be striving to be better.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I'm not trying to interrupt you. Go ahead, bro.
No, you're fine. Because I was just thinking, like, how do you how do you guard hypocrisy? Because the thing is, it's like we were talking about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a little bit, like we brought up,
Mm-hmm.
like Lysol. It kills 99.9%
Right.
of germs.
Right.
But it's always, you got to be aware of that
Yes.
1%, right?
Yes.
So all of us, I think, many as humans, is a human. The potential of hypocrisy is already there,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And I think we all encounter that in our life from
Yes.
time to time.
Yes.
But the question would be, how do you guard yourself from that? And because you said this, you said that you can't stand it, you don't want nothing to do with it or whatnot, you know.
It forfeits credibility to me.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think right there in that question that you asked, the dividing line to me is, are you being intentionally hypocritical
There you go.
because it benefits you, or is it a genuine oversight or mistake or something that's escaped your perception?
Mm-hmm.
For somebody that is a genuine oversight, they don't recognize, they're not aware that they're being hypocritical.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. But I think there's a lot, I'm not going to say there's a lot of people, there is a category of people who are intentionally hypocritical. They're completely aware of it, and they just don't care because they think that they're better or deserve to be governed by a different set of rules than somebody else for whatever the reason, class, nationality, whatever the reason, it doesn't matter. But I think that's the dividing line. If you're sincere and you're just not aware that you're being hypocritical, there's something to work with. But somebody that's intentionally doing that and they know it and they don't care and they don't want to be accountable to that same set of rules, I don't really have much interest in talking to you whatsoever. Your words don't mean anything at that point.
So and you're looking at it, and we're having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at it from the outside toward a person that's being hypocritical.
Sure,
right?
sure.
So, and you said that some people intentionally
Yes.
are hypocritical.
Yes.
Right. And that's very interesting. Is there a benefit they believe that they're getting from their hypocrisy, and are they actually benefited by it? You know what I'm saying?
Depends on how far they're willing to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Right.
interesting.
Because I mean, especially when it comes to the rules for thee, not for me kind of mindset, that benefit might be seizing power.
Yeah.
It could be silencing dissenters. You know what I mean? It could be, there's a long list of things that somebody can achieve by that. And again, that's the outside, like you said, and the valid question. This is what, to me, it's a matter of credibility, right? You don't have credibility if you're intentionally being hypocritical. If a person wants credibility, you have to have some amount of self-awareness or self-reflection to ask yourself the question, am I being hypocritical? Or being open-minded enough that if somebody calls it out, and it doesn't have to be malicious, you said a person should do A, B, and C, yet you did the opposite of A, B, and C. When somebody calls that out, and it can be done in a passive enough and peaceful and calm way that it doesn't have to be confrontational. But if you, upon having that called out to you, immediately get confrontational, defensive, and you're not willing to hear and to stop for a second, if somebody, for me, because I've had that accusation pointed towards me before, and when I stopped and reflected and thought about it, I said, you know what, maybe I am being a little bit hypocritical in the way I was addressing that situation, and it made me say I have to, something is, there's a misalignment, like the way the definition said. There's a gap or misalignment in my actions and my behaviors, or my words and my stated values, and there's a misalignment between those and my actions. So when somebody has called that out to me before, I stop. I don't react right away because I don't want to react and be defensive and emotional. I stop and I say, let me think about this and let me analyze what they're saying and let me see, am I really being hypocritical? And if I am, I want to change that. I have to either change my actions to line up with what I said, or modify and correct what I said to line up with my actions so that I'm not being hypocritical and not practicing what I preach. You know what I mean?
So you said something that's interesting. So when someone comes to you and points out your hypocrisy,
right,
or my hypocrisy,
sure.
If somebody comes to me and points out my hypocrisy, there should be a mode psychologically that we should go down to address whatever that gap is.
Your favorite thing to say, slow down.
Slow down is right. I don't know. And this is the reason why I wanted to bring this up. Mm-hmm. This is awesome, man, that you're going down this path, is because hello Susan, how you doing? Thanks for being on our call. The interesting part of hypocrisy is the points and counterpoints. Someone is going to point something to you and say, you are this. And you're saying to yourself, like, no, I'm not. But instead of saying, no, I'm not, you slow down and you address it in such a way to check.
Exactly.
If what they are saying is true.
Have to.
And if they are true, what are you becoming in that process?
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
Are you willing to allow your ego to be corrected? Because the whole idea is to bring back harmony.
Right.
And I was writing this down earlier about because you said something about the double standard.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And if you are intentional with being hypocritical, you're sitting on your high horse of hypocrisy.
I love it.
It's temporal.
Yes.
It's a temporary thing.
Right.
It's really not. It's self-serving, like we were talking about, because it's a coping mechanism.
Yes.
Because remember you said, because you didn't agree with that at first as it being a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
It helped me understand that because I do believe that it is a coping mechanism.
Yeah, and that's why I relented when I said that, because it's like when I first read that, and again, we, people, our audience knows, we kind of look at a few different tools as we're kind of getting ready to analyze a word. And when I first saw that, I'm like, how can it be a coping mechanism if you're honest about your values? And again, that's the whole alignment thing of hypocrisy. Are my stated values, what I say and what I claim to be the values that I live by, do my actions line up to those? So for me, it was kind of difficult. How can I, as a survival or a coping mechanism, say one thing while I'm knowingly living something different? But I see what you're saying, and when we kind of talked about this a little bit, kind of coming up to the episode, if it's a survival mechanism and somebody is trying to adapt or trying to blend in and avoid confrontation or avoid being singled out or picked on or whatever, I can understand that and even sympathize to a degree. I've done that. And we talked about this with Elder Cole last time he was on there too, right? I can remember times when I was younger when I acted off of a different set of values than what I held as my own core values, trying to blend in with other people. Yeah. So I can relate to that. When you said that, and maybe kind of think, okay, again, I was up on my high horse. So how can somebody do that as a coping mechanism? And then I stopped and realized, okay, you know what? No, I can relate to that. Yeah. I can understand that better. But that was something I did when I was immature and not accountable. Yeah. Right. In the mindset that I have right now, I want to have integrity. Yeah. I want to be accountable. Yeah. And if I say something, I want it to mean something, because I want people to look at me as a person that if I'm saying something, I'm living that same set of values. So where I am today versus where I was when I was in elementary, middle school, high school, I might have changed my actions or my values to not really line up to my true self and trying to fit in. In my older age, I don't do that for anybody. Correct. No relationship with anybody means so much that I'm going to compromise who I am or what my values are to please somebody else. At best, I might be silent, but I'm not going to change who I am or say that I have a different set of values than what I actually do, because that's who I am. And if that's not good enough for somebody, I don't have to be around you. We don't have to be friends, have a relationship, or even, again, have a conversation, because If somebody just doesn't want to have that accountability and that credibility, I don't really care to talk to you, because it's like the conversation at that point is meaningless to me, because what do I believe about what you say? If your words and these quote unquote values aren't even enough for you to live by, what credibility do any of the rest of your words have to me? I don't want to hear anything else. I'm done. You know?
So what would take in your mind once that trust,
great question.
You know what I mean? Once that trust is broken in some regard, how do you regain that? Because let me finish my thought, because I always
go ahead, bro.
Fragment. I don't want to fragment. I want to be very clear. Because the whole idea is to get all of us back in harmony.
Got you.
And know how to communicate.
Awesome.
If a person is being hypocritical, how do you convey the message in such a way where they know that there's a deviation of the proper thing to do, right? Because acting, because we already said in the etymology that it's about pretending. It's not going to last.
Right.
Like your hypocrisy is not going to last. It's temporary.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Just like acting is temporary. Sooner or later, you got to take off the mask.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
That's right.
So by us recognizing that, how do we convey a message? I'm not saying that I'm great at it, because a lot of times, like you said, because I was shut down in a heartbeat.
Sure.
Right. And I know I got to get over that. I got to be able to communicate that this person is violating the laws of goodness.
I love it.
Violating the laws of goodness, which we all can do sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But go ahead. But that's what I was thinking about as far as the question. Like, what do you think? How do we engage properly?
And I love that question, because to even ask that question, for that to even enter your mind, you have to be of a mindset of wanting people to be in harmony. You want unity. You want peace. You want people to be accountable and honest and have integrity with one another. Absolutely. So even asking that question, that you ask, what would it take to undo the erosion of trust or the loss of credibility? It's just that. It's showing that you have you have enough interest in peace between people and people being honest, that you would even ask that question. And what does it take to correct that? Somebody showing that they have that interest, and somebody being able to say, hey, you know what? I was wrong. Or upon further inspection, you called me out for being hypocritical in this way or that way. When I went back and looked at it, I considered it again, and you're right. And I need to, again, adjust either my words or my actions to be in alignment so that my words have credibility. If I'm going to be somebody who thinks that I should have this lower standard of being judged than everybody else, then I'm just going to say that, and then I can at least respect you, because you're going to say I'm going to be a criminal and I want you to forgive it. You know what I mean? I can at least respect somebody that's going to be honest enough to say I'm going to be dishonest in everything that I say, and I want you just to not to look the other way. That's fine. If I know that's how you operate, that's fine. Thank you for being honest with me at least. But that still means I have no deal. I don't want to have any dealings with you. Period. So somebody has to come and show that they can at least be honest and accountable and recognized I've been hypocritical.
Yeah.
And to me, the next step after that is, if you've harmed somebody in your hypocrisy, you need to go back and seek to undo that harm or try to correct it in some way.
Man, that's powerful. That's powerful, bro. Like to me, as I get older,
right,
and I feel that I'm maturing,
right,
that's not nothing with arrogance. That has nothing to do with arrogance. You have to. If you are the same person that you were last year, you're doing something. You're certainly doing something wrong.
I love it. Right.
And I really believe that I'm on a pathway to maturity.
Right.
And when you deal with items as hypocrisy and recognizing the mechanics.
Yes.
The mechanics of hypocrisy.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like people that's on the line, when you deal with hypocrisy, what do you do with it? Mm-hmm. How do you deal with it? Mm-hmm. Are you honest with yourself concerning your own behaviors and mannerisms concerning hypocrisy? Mm-hmm. And what are you willing to do to fix it? You know, so one of the things that I was thinking about is, like, as we mature, you realize that you don't have, like you said, you don't have time to deal with people that are dishonest and don't really acknowledge
Sure.
the fact that they're being dishonest.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
I think that, wow, the mechanics of hypocrisy. You said a word that I think that was very impactful. You said harming somebody in their hypocrisy. That makes me feel emotional because you go as far as protecting yourself in your hypocrisy that other people are impacted by. That's a huge issue.
Yep.
And now someone like at a mature level will have to come up and figure out a way. How do I address this problem? Check this out. Even the scripture says that. You remember when Jesus was calling, the scripture talks about as a man thinketh, so he is, right? So when you talk about hypocrisy, are you actually thinking about your thoughts?
Right.
Like as a man thinketh, the first thing it says, as a man think.
Right.
Are you thinking?
That's
so
right.
What are you thinking about? So what are your intentions with the words and the thought process and behaviors and mannerisms that you have? So it's funny where the Jews at the time in the scripture, and I'm not trying to get into all the scripture and things like that, but he said that he was talking to the Jews and he said that, and they said that we've never been in bondage.
Right. Exactly right.
That's like the number one.
Yeah.
It's like that was a lie that you did not have to say.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
That was a lie. It's like that was unnecessary. And some people that are hypocrites, you're so quick to be in survival mode and self preservation that you lie when the truth would do.
That's right.
You know what
That's
I'm
right.
saying? So
Yep.
go ahead.
No, you good, because it made me think about as you were kind of going into like the harm that could result, right? And it made me think about I'll just say examples when we were children, and I think the way a lot of instruction.
Go ahead, man.
I think it's important that when a child asks an adult about something, that an adult try to give an honest answer to that child and not try to do so in a way that puts them on a high horse. I can think of a lot of examples where a child might ask something. I'm skip past all the saying it politely. My kids have asked me before, like, Dad, what do I do if somebody asks me to drink? Or is it, would you be okay with it if I had a drink, or whatever the case is, right? And I could think that a number of people with my upbringing and where we grew up, that you would hear on a weekly basis just how bad of a person you are if you do certain things, and then you grow up and find out, man, that was something that you used to do on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So you spoke and demonized it so much as if to say you're above certain things because maybe it's something that you put behind you. But I think that it's a more meaningful message. So when my kids ask me things like that, I chose to, just as we're saying, kind of humble myself and not approach that situation from this high horse of you do this and don't do this because I tell you, and instead talk to them from the standpoint of, look, I can't be around you all the time. I can tell you the mistakes that I've made. I can tell you when I've done something that you're asking me about, how it did or did not work out for me, or what happened to me, and explain to you from that standpoint why I would like you or not like you to do whatever it is you're asking me about. I'm very honest with my kids, and if they've ever asked me things like that, and this goes back to, again, as we were kind of talking a little bit before the episode, how do you go about making sure you're not being hypocritical? Before I speak to judge or condemn or blame or talk down to somebody about something, I try to first stop and say, Gary, before you say this, is this something that you do or something that you have done? And if it's something that you do or have done, have some empathy. Be mindful that you did. And this, and as you know, as we talk, this is something that I do a lot. I am very, very upfront about some of the things that I don't do now is because I'm mindful of harm that I've done in the past.
Yes.
And the way I've approached people about religion or spirituality, I can acknowledge, and I'm very upfront about this, and not saying that to my own horn. I'm saying that I've been bad and wrong in the way that I've dealt with people in the past, and being mindful of that now. I'm honest about it, and I try to approach people in a way that can undo and recover people that have gone through that harm now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's putting myself down and realizing, hey, you know what, Gary, you've done that before. So be mindful of that before you speak to this person and in a way that's going to judge or condemn them. If I've been guilty of the same, that lets me come at you with compassion and empathy because I've been there and I know what it means to be going through what you're going through. That's, you know what I mean? So with my kids, I'll tell them, I'm very upfront. My kids know most of the dirt that I did when I was younger because when they've asked me, I'm like, look, I did this. This is how it ended up. So I'm not telling you because I want to just have authority over you for the sake of having authority over you. It's because I care about you and I want you to do better than I did. So I'm going to tell you what mistakes that I made so you'll know from my mistakes, I'm guilty. You know what I mean? I'm not saying this because I'm on some high horse or because I'm perfect. I've messed up a lot, and I would like you to learn from my mistakes without you having to go through that same pain. You know what I mean? I think that's like the honesty and level of, I don't want to even call it humility, but you got to be honest with yourself. Like, yeah, I've messed up. I've done these things, and I can share with you how it didn't work out for me in hopes that you can do better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
Is how we can do better and prevent the harm being done.
That's right.
You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? There was a question here. It's from one of our listeners. What if there's any strategies can you offer to help one caught in hypocrisy see their actions and effects of such? It's a good question.
That's an excellent question.
I think you answered that earlier.
I like the way you approach it, though. We've been talking about this, right?
Yeah.
When you want somebody to kind of recognize something, what's the most effective way?
Ask questions.
Ask them the questions.
Ask them questions.
So let me make sure I understand this. So you want me to do X, Y, and Z, right? You think that this person should be governed by this law or this statute or whatever? Huh? Okay. So what about when you do it? Right. So does that apply to you also, or does that something you just want to apply to me? You want me to shut up. You want me to not say anything about you, but you can just freely say anything that you want about other people.
Yeah.
That I just want to be sure. I'm clear. This is you want me to be silent while you can say whatever you want to whoever and have no consequences. Okay. You know what I mean? Just asking the question, just for somebody to kind of present to that person their hypocrisy. State it. You want this law to apply to me, but you want to be exempt from it. And in saying that, again, once they say, yes, I want you to be bound by that and not for me, I don't have anything else to say to you. I mean, it's like whether or not I would hope you recognize it. But as soon as you can, kind of let it come out your mouth that it's one set of rules for me and something else for you, I'm done talking to you, dude.
Yeah.
Honest. And that's just me. I'm flawed. You know what I mean? I have my own flaws. But for me, I'm done talking to you after that point. But that's how I think. It's like, just asking the questions and forcing somebody to kind of say out of their mouth what their double standard is.
Yeah. You're hardcore than me, because I don't think it's about being more nice than that.
I'm flawed, bro. You helped me out a lot with that.
No, it's not about. I don't think it's. I don't know. I mean, you call it a flaw, man, but to me, it's a It is a reflex. Mm-hmm. It's a reflex.
Mm-hmm. How do you mean?
It's like it's a approach where is it that you're guarding yourself in some type of way so you won't get even more frustrated going down the path?
I get extremely frustrated if somebody can't be honest like that, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, it's like a reflex, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like a protective mechanism.
Because I'm gonna get angry, and I don't want to say something in my anger that I'm gonna regret. Right.
Yeah, and we all have, and this is what's the beautiful part about this conversation is as we have more conversations concerning this, we start to see the areas within ourselves that we can be strengthened. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Anger is like one of those things where no. Let me take a step back. Mm-hmm. Go back to hypocrisy. Mm-hmm. Hypocrisy is one of those words and actions where is so subtle.
Right.
We were talking about how people are intentionally hypocrites, intentional hypocrites, but there's other ones where they don't,
just not aware.
they're just unaware. I think the unaware is more dangerous than the ones that are intentional.
Interesting.
You see what I'm saying? The reason why I say that is, and I could be wrong concerning this. I can be wrong concerning.
I'm done talking to you. No, I'm joking. Go ahead. Go ahead, man. Conversation is over.
We are done.
Right. End the podcast right now. Stop recording. No, I'm joking, man. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I love it, man. I love it. So, it's like the movie Usual Suspects. The movie Usual Suspects, where Kaiser Soze, where Verbal was like, that was the name, right? Verbal, right? Verbal Kent, right?
I think so.
At the end,
Yeah.
he said, in Usual Suspects, he said, the best thing to do, the enemy has done to make himself
The greatest trick the devil has ever pulled.
Well, go ahead.
Convincing the world that he doesn't exist.
That's kind of like hypocrisy. If you don't realize that it exists within you, that is dangerous.
Interesting.
You see what I'm saying? When you don't know, you going around and you being hypocritical and you don't know that it's being there and what it look like, that's where it goes to that question where it says, what are strategies where someone else, you can offer them something to let them know that, hey, you don't realize you're impacting everybody around here because of you being fake.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So it's possible.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Go ahead, bro.
So I think damage can be done anytime there's a double standard or hypocrisy present.
Absolutely.
But maybe it's a matter of, okay, if I'm not aware of it and I'm being hypocritical, I might continue that damage. I still don't know if I think that it's more damage that could be done, though, because a person that's doing it intentional knows they're doing damage and they're going to continue. A person that's doing it and they're unaware, if hopefully has the right kind of.
Okay, so this is what I mean. So let's go back to that. So and this is the thing. What I'm saying is the person that's intentionally doing that is temporary.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. It's like once a person is intentionally doing something, it's going to show up eventually. Okay, it's going to eventually. It's going to show up regardless if you're pretending or you're doing it intentionally. In my mind, you know what I'm saying? I think it's the behavior of the person, like you said, that when you bring it to them, you understand what I'm saying?
Okay. Might do more damage because you don't realize you're doing damage to begin with.
That's it.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Okay.
And I think that that is the point. What you talked about earlier is asking questions. When you ask the right questions to that person that did not realize that they were following suit on the actions of hypocrisy.
Right.
They like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was doing that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. That's
where the transparency comes in. Go back to our episode earlier on about transparency. You know what I'm saying? Because once a person hypocrisy is funny, man. Like when you really think about somebody being a hypocrite.
Oh yeah, bro.
Oh my God, man.
Especially how blatant some people are with it. Man. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think in our the Mind Forge podcast we were talking about code switching.
Yeah.
Code switching is like another. And if you know what code switching is, it's basically a person is a person that is, let's put it like this, a person that's
presents themselves one way to people that are not.
Go ahead.
I'm just adding on to, right? People that present themselves one way and that's not really their true personality.
Yeah. Because I was going to say something a little bit more.
Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like we know that like in the black culture, we know that some guys that will act so hood, right, with their neighborhood, their family and boys and different things like that. But as soon as they get into a corporate. Right. I mean, they're straight up proper. For sure. I mean, straight up proper. And that's what this code switching really is.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I think it's funny.
It is.
But that's the danger.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. It's dangerous to do that. But I understand why people do it, because it goes back to the coping mechanism.
And survival.
And survival.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
self-preservation.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's the reason why I'm saying hypocrisy is so funny.
Interesting. Yeah.
It is so
Yep.
funny. It's dangerous. It
Right.
is so dangerous.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But go ahead, bro.
Yeah. No, I wasn't gonna say nothing, bro. I've been talking too much. Go ahead.
No, yeah, you good. Because no, we're about to. I think as far as my final thoughts for me, I think that I'm gonna go back to what you said. So I'm gonna steal your thoughts for a minute. I think the very moment
Keep it back. No, go ahead.
Right. No, I'm keeping that. Keeping that thought.
Right.
So the thought that I was thinking about, as soon as you said this, I said, man, that's what I'm talking about, because I love templates. I love templates and flows. I like processes.
Right.
I'm a process guy.
Absolutely.
Processes helps me out. Visualization helps me out. Understand how things work.
That's right.
And if you look at the mechanics of hypocrisy, if you're willing to receive information, it doesn't matter if that person is hypocritical, giving information. Just because they want to be fake with that information doesn't mean that I have to be fake with that information.
Interesting.
Okay.
Right.
That's from a hypocritical person talking to me. Okay.
Right.
The next one is when you were saying that you go down the list and said, okay, G or Ethan, have I been hypocritical in this moment in the past?
Right.
That is ideal, man.
Right.
That's when you have to slow down and really be honest and allow genuineness and being genuine with the conversation and with the thought process within yourself.
Right.
Because when you genuine yourself, do you know how much liberty and freedom that is?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
A person that's is hypocritical, they are in prison.
Double-minded, man.
Yeah, that's prison.
Yeah, it is.
But that's my final thought. My final thought is just when you're dealing with this, because the whole idea is growth, and maturity.
Right.
A person that is, do you want to mature in hypocrisy?
Right.
That's detrimental.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
That's actually destructive.
Right.
That's not constructive.
That's right.
Hypocrisy is destructive. It's not constructive. You know, so if you're dealing with hypocrisy, and if you don't know that you're being hypocritical or whatnot, there are ways that you can possibly figure out if you're hypocritical or not. The first thing you can do is go to your close friends and family and ask them, have I been this way?
I love it.
And then if your family and your friends are honest enough, they will let you know, well, you know what? I've seen this before in the past. You did this and blah, 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 blah. Those are at least the immediate actions that can take that are effective in my mind.
I love it.
But go ahead. G.
And I think just self-reflection and self-awareness, like we said, right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
If I'm thinking of telling somebody something corrective or to convey some value or something like that, I should first be thinking, do my actions align with what I'm about to say? And if it doesn't, shut up. Right? Seriously, because it's like if it doesn't, what you're about to say means nothing.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first step, is ask yourself, if what I'm about to say, do I live by that? Do I practice that? And if I do, then it's like, okay, how do I say this the best way? You know what I mean? But if what I'm about to tell this person is something that I do, just don't even bother speaking until I can correct it. And we talked about this a little bit before, right? Just so you have a mote in you're trying to pull out the splinter in your neighbor's eye, but you got a beam in yours. Just address your own issues first. But I think, like what you were saying, it has to be self-reflective. It has to be self-awareness and honesty. But you brought up another great point, is just because somebody is hypocritical, if I have a thief telling me, hey, don't steal, but that person is a thief, it doesn't mean that I can't look at that statement, at those words, and say those words are good. I'm going to live by those. Even though you're not, I'm going to live by those. Beautiful. And take that nugget for what it is. And I still don't care about the person living their life. I don't look at them as an example. But in maturity, you might find words that are something that you can adopt that comes from an unworthy source sometimes. You know what I
that's
mean?
it, man.
From a source that maybe isn't living it, but you have to be discerning enough to say, you know what, that's still a good practice. And even though you're not living by it, I can take that and adapt that because that can make me better.
100%,
Right,
bro.
So that's it, man.
That's it. Yeah. This is Let Your Words Count. Please like, share, and subscribe. We really hope you enjoy these episodes.
Absolutely.
And push that notification button when you get a chance.
Yep.
All right. God bless you. Signing out. G, you got anything else?
All good, bro.
All right. God bless y'all. God bless you.